Welcome back to the table. I'm Kim Ganassin, and I'd like to tell you another story about my 4D. Now, in this particular story, we're going to move away from the context that we had created in earlier videos, where we talked about a four-dimensional zone around the Earth. Okay? That is not the context for this particular story. Okay? So let's get started. Now I want to let you know that this story is actually based on two stories that had tremendous similarities, and both of these stories on their own are so overwhelming and packed with information that I think you'll agree that what I'm trying to illustrate here about a four-dimensional experience would really be just, it would be overwhelmed by either one of these stories alone. So I'm just going to take the context of two stories when I was in the hospital in an unconscious state. Okay, one of the stories had me, my body, in a hospital bed, deep in a coma, while I had my four-dimensional consciousness next to the bed, and then there was the window to the other side also in the room. Okay, that was an ICU room. The other story has me in a bed, but really this time it's an OR, so it's a operating table, and I was once again popped out of my body and in a fourth-dimensional zone, and the window to the other side was also open. Okay? So let's just put these two stories together and see them as one scene where we're in a hospital setting and there's my physical body in a bed, fourth-dimensional me next to that, and then the window to the other side open up with other beings talking to me through the window. Okay, so what we're going to look at with our context here, our sort of stripped down context, is we're going to look at how things occur across 1, 2, 3 dimensions, and how one's consciousness and one's parameters, one's thought process changes across 3 dimensions. Okay, so what we have is my body in a hospital bed, in bad shape. Bad enough that my family is a mess. They're very upset. There's a lot of tension. There are medical staff in the room in their 3-dimensional bodies without any 4th-dimensional or 5th-dimensional consciousness. They're on the planet doing their job, trying to help my 3-dimensional body get through the experience. Okay? And in this scenario, my body pops out, my consciousness pops out of the body into an interim dimension between 3rd dimension in the body and 5th dimension on the other side, where people are looking at me through the window. Beings are looking at me through the window. Okay? So here I am, just one step out of my body in a state of consciousness that is also just one step, 1 degree outside of my regular 3-dimensional consciousness. Yeah? Okay. Now, I'm going to speak from the perspective of the person in the 4th dimension between the window and the bed. All right? Let's call that me. There I am, in the room, the hospital room, looking down at my body going, wow. I don't like it. I don't like it. Look at my body. My body is laying there in the bed. And it's in some really terrible shape. And I feel it. I have a feeling in my heart that there's something really wrong. There's something wrong here. Okay? Now, by contrast, the people looking at me from the other side through the window, they're pretty calm about the whole thing. They're not really worried about 3D Kim. They're here to counsel 4D Kim. Okay? And what they know is that whatever the next step is on the journey of 3D Kim, it's correct. They know that the dignity and correctness of everyone's journey through life everywhere in the universe, including right here in the third dimension on Earth, it's all correct, right? The correctness, the dignity inherent in the situation is what's most important, and the details are less important. Okay, that's what they know. And they're pretty calm about it. They're like, yeah, you know, this is the story. This is what's going on. You know, write it out. Now, who are they telling to write it out? They're telling 4D Kim to write it out. Why? Because 4D Kim is just one step away from 3D Kim, and she is very concerned about what's going on in the hospital bed. There's a lot of tension in the room, right? Family members, medical staff running around, trying to figure out what to do, trying to keep things together on the three-dimensional level. And four-dimensional Kim is in a state where her concern about what's going on in 3D is real, and yet at the same time, she is aware of her relationship to both sides, right? She's aware that she came out of that body. She's aware of her connection to that body, but she's also aware of her connection to the other side and the folks on the other side. So the folks on the other side are from, which is 5D, are counseling Kim in 4D to hold it together. Okay? Look, this is what's written. Try to roll. It's kind of scary. It's definitely a bump in the road, but it's going to be okay. All right? You see what's going on there? So, 4D Kim is not 5D Kim, and it's not 3D Kim. It's somewhere in between. 4D Kim recognizes the connection between the dimensions. She recognizes herself as a consciousness that connects these two dimensions and that is part of a much longer spectrum of consciousness. But at the same time, she still has her attachment and her concern about what's going on in the three-dimensional world. Now, if three-dimensional Kim somehow woke up and saw what was going on, she'd probably freak right out. Okay? I mean, she'd lose it. And there would be scars and there would be therapy, you know, there'd be drama, right? 4D Kim doesn't have, she's not going to lose her mind over it, but she's concerned. And she's not as detached as those folks over there, but she does see the connection between everything. Okay? That's the hospital scenario with third, fourth, fifth dimensions truly, obviously connected, and communication going on between 4 and 5 as it naturally does. Okay? Now 3D Kim is not really aware because she's in anesthesia or she's in coma, she's whatever. So 3D, the 3D end of my spectrum of consciousness is kind of out to lunch, and we start becoming lucid at 4D and 5D. That's a lot. I'm used to thinking in these terms. I'm used to being lucid in 3, 4, and 5 and beyond. I'm used to thinking of myself as more than one kind of consciousness. I'm used to recognizing that I am a very long, broad spectrum connected to my source. And I'm used to the window being open all the way down to the source. I can feel the vibration of my source. It's unspeakable. My source comes to me with information, taps me on the shoulder sometimes and says, hey, we got something to do. I need you to just open up and stop being 3D Kim, stop being 4D Kim. You can be 5D Kim, but open up even from there. Just surrender to the most powerful part of you moving through, and don't judge it. Just let it happen. I would like to challenge you to see yourself the same way, because this is where we're going. I hope you've enjoyed this story. I invite you to leave your questions and your comments, as always. And thanks for being here. See you next time.